Gregory, widowed when his daughter was about 10, was left alone with the child. For a long time, he couldn't arrange his personal life. At first, he was worried about his daughter. How would she react to a new mother? What if their relationship didn't work out? He would have to make the choice, and it was clear that the decision would be in favor of his daughter. What if he himself had already become attached to that woman? After all, she wouldn't be entirely to blame for everything. Gregory realized that his little Ashley was not an easy child, but she was still his only and beloved daughter. He didn't want to go through the pain of loss again, to break his heart and someone else's as well. That's why he wasn't in a hurry to bring another woman into the house. There were some meetings, romances, but nothing serious. He didn't let anyone get too close to him, his home, and his small family. Once, there was even a comical incident. At the time, he was secretly seeing a woman named Rachel. They even joked, Gregory and Rachel, two winners. Gregory and Rachel, our happy story, the woman liked to say. And in many ways, she was a good match, kind and attractive. But the happy story never happened. To be honest, he thought about introducing her to Ashley, but kept postponing it, doubting, and rightly so. Rachel wanted to marry him so badly that she went to extreme measures. She claimed she was pregnant. The thing was that Gregory was very, very rich. We wouldn't be wrong to say he was a millionaire. And from here, you can imagine what happened next. What did he have? A house, of course, a car, more than one, a seaside cottage, and all the privileges that came with it. Gregory made his fortune in freight transportation. He and his wife bought an old truck at first. To afford it, they had to sell their one-room apartment. They lived in the truck. They traveled all over the country. They went through so much together, ups, downs, successes, and failures. They froze together and almost cooked themselves alive in the cabin. Then things took off. In 3 years, they had 4 trucks and 10 hired drivers. Year after year, penny by penny, Gregory made his first million. After that, things got easier. And everywhere and everything, his wife supported him. She never reproached him and was always on his side. She often said, "Don't be afraid. The main thing is to remember, if you need to shoot, you'll shoot, and I'll hand you the ammo." Then Ashley was born. For a while, his wife focused on the baby. Gregory even felt a little jealous. It was so sad to go on a trip alone for the first time. But despite their wealth and comfort, Gregory never shied away from caring for his daughter. When Ashley started walking and babbling in her own little language, running out into the yard shouting, "Dad, Dad," Gregory's heart melted. How could anyone not love this angel? Ashley grew up, and so did his wealth. They got their own house and the first car for his wife. Admit it, did you ever regret that I persuaded you to sell the apartment and buy our first truck? Gregory asked one day. Not once, his wife answered without hesitation. Her eyes only glimmered with a hint of sadness. "I don't see that you didn't regret it," Gregory said. "You just don't want to admit it now because everything has worked out and returned to normal." "What makes you think that?" She replied. "I didn't regret it at all." "So you didn't regret it?" "If I had regretted it, I would have left without a second thought," his wife said. "Then why that look?" Sad eyes, with tears just beneath. "It's not that," she answered. "So what is it?" "You'll know too much, and soon you'll grow old. Listen, thank you for believing in me all these years. Probably, without your faith, nothing would have worked out." Gregory began to thank her. She interrupted him. "You look different somehow. What's going on? You seem like you're not yourself today." Tell me, if you had even the slightest doubt about me, would you really have turned away and left? Just like that, without any regret? Well, not without regret, of course. But yes, I would have left. And she left. A week after their conversation. Actually, for a different reason. She had a blood clot. She was eating ice cream when suddenly it turned red. Oh, what's this? Ketchup or something? Where would ketchup come from in ice cream? She asked. That was the last thing his wife ever said. People often attribute some magical meaning to the last words of the deceased, passing them down through generations as the wisdom of the great. But in reality, their significance is often greatly exaggerated. Most likely, even the last words of the greatest people weren't about how to endure grief more easily. If she had screamed, sobbing, "What is this? Help, I'm dying. Gregory, don't leave our daughter. I love you." Gregory would have already known that she loved him. What's so sacred about that? She herself, it seemed, didn't realize that she was dying. She didn't understand it at all. Most likely, it just didn't occur to her that it was blood. The doctor said it was a clot that detached in the pulmonary artery. At first, Gregory blamed himself for everything. Back then, in that city, they had frozen badly in the cabin. If it hadn't been for the geologists with military vehicles, they wouldn't have been saved. There would have been no business, and no Ashley either. But his wife did catch pneumonia back then. She coughed for 2 months afterward, like a pipe. Of course, it wasn't good to drag women on such trips. Gregory felt guilty for that. Later, the doctor said pneumonia had nothing to do with it. She most likely had that clot since birth. It's rare, but it happens. It was surprising that it hadn't detached earlier, for example, during childbirth, when the strain on a woman's body is simply enormous. Gregory felt a bit relieved. But that didn't bring his wife back. Then there were girls, women, and romances. But he didn't bring any of them home, except for Rachel. In fact, he did it while Ashley was at school. "Sweetheart, it seems like you're going to be a dad soon," Rachel said one day. "Isn't it time we made it official?" "Rachel, are you proposing to me right now?" "The initiative should come from me, not you." "What, sweetheart? I'm just hinting." "What, will it be bad if your son is born without a father and his last name is mine?" Rachel asked. Gregory felt like he had been doused with boiling water. "Aha, so it's about the last name. Fine, Rachel, you'll get your last name. But who told you that my son will grow up without a father?" "I think my financial situation will solve these problems," he replied, adding, "You have the baby, then I'll marry you." After that, Gregory ended all relations with Rachel. No, don't think he abandoned her. He was still there, still caring, still taking her to various events. He carefully made sure that nothing but orange juice accidentally ended up in Rachel's glass. Physically, it really annoyed her that Gregory had stuck to her like a bath leaf. He even went shopping with her and made her take vitamins. 4 months passed. "Rachel, I understand that I haven't been a father for 14 years. But correct me if I'm wrong, by the 4th month, shouldn't your belly start to round out a bit?" Gregory asked one evening. "When did you figure out that I'm not pregnant?" Rachel asked. From the very beginning, he smiled widely. And that evening, they parted ways. Gregory left without regret. He realized he had been right and that his intuition hadn't failed him. It was a good thing he had doubted whether he should introduce Rachel to Ashley. As the saying goes, there's only one step from love to hatred. It's unlikely that Rachel truly loved Gregory. More likely, she loved his wealth. He could forgive many things, but not deception. And she had deceived him with her pregnancy. Gregory had known this from the very start. The thing was, he couldn't have children. An accident during a truck loading had changed his life. Gregory tripped, fell, and landed badly on rebar. The doctors did their best, and there were no lasting marks, although he had been in the hospital for nearly 3 months. Nevertheless, he could no longer have children. His wife was gone, and his daughter was still young. Naturally, he didn't tell anyone about his problem. Really, how do you imagine it? A man meets a woman and immediately says, "Just so you know, I can't have children." Honestly, he didn't meet women for that reason. So Rachel had been caught in a lie, and this made Gregory very angry. That's why he had invented the whole pregnancy scheme instead of rushing to the registry office like she had thought. It wasn't until Ashley turned 17 that Gregory met the true love of his life. Her name was Mia. Their meeting was quite accidental, but very typical for truckers. The highway, a downpour pouring down in sheets, and there was a girl standing by the roadside. She was soaked to the bone. It seemed unclear whether she was even wearing clothes. No one stopped. Everyone passed by, ignoring the drenched figure. She didn't even attempt to hitchhike, she just stood there. Streams of water were flowing down her face, clothes, and legs. How had she ended up here, so many miles away from the nearest place with shelter? The answer was simple. When? You didn't need to ask. Gregory had seen many like her, and sometimes he had even given them a ride. He felt sorry for the girls. Some of them had been thrown out like discarded material. Someone had simply argued with her boyfriend or even her husband and found herself on the side of the road. Gregory never asked, "What happened?" What difference does it make? It's already happened. Digging into someone else's soul and reopening old wounds wouldn't help at all. He would sometimes drop people off at motels, towns, or gas stations. He never hit on those girls, nor did he try to make acquaintances. It was the same this time. Another butterfly, Gregory thought, and slammed on the brakes. The woman approached the cabin, opened the door, and silently climbed into the seat. What was there to ask? He didn't stop to tie shoelaces, so it was fine. For a while, they drove in silence. Out of the corner of his eye, Gregory observed his passenger. The woman looked about 30, maybe a little younger. It was hard to accurately judge her age and her condition, but she was definitely not a teenager, thank God. Gregory didn't like teenagers, although they were the ones who usually needed help the most. The little chick flew out, and where should she run, he thought. But with a silly little fool like that, you could end up with a heap of trouble. Who knows what she'd say and to whom, especially if she ended up in a police station. He himself hadn't been in such situations, but he knew drivers who had suffered because of such passengers. They'd be stopped based on a description. The girl claimed she was forcibly shoved into a car and taken somewhere random. But by then, her parents or the police had already caught her. And that's when she'd make up all sorts of nonsense. Of course, it would all get cleared up eventually, but you couldn't get your nerves back. Mia, the woman said quietly after a while. Sorry, I didn't catch that, Gregory asked again. My name is Mia. You've been silent. Usually, truckers like to chat about this and that, life and all, she said. Ah, Gregory responded. And how many truckers have you met in your life? Well, quite a few, you know. I didn't keep count, the woman answered, then as if realizing something, added, but don't think it's in that sense. I just have to travel by hitchhiking often. I'm a veterinarian. But it just so happened that I don't have my own car. And I still haven't gotten around to getting my driver's license. So, I have to go between villages hitchhiking. It's faster. Otherwise, by the time you get to the right town by bus, the little animal might already kick the bucket. She hesitated for a moment before continuing. And I also have to go for medicines in the region. And to Washington. I sent the medication by freight train, but as for me, well, I just make do. So here I am, getting by. I see, you like to chat too, Gregory remarked, and with a sigh of relief, he added. At first glance, the woman didn't seem like the type. But who knows what the truth really is? On the highway, everyone lies. You see someone for the first and last time. You can be anyone for them, a veterinarian, an astronaut, or even a circus clown, Gregory thought. In their stories, passengers can embody any fantasy. That's why he didn't rush to believe Mia's story right away. But in reality, it didn't really seem like the woman was lying. He didn't even notice how it happened that they started talking after he dropped her off. It all just happened naturally, without any effort, no need to come up with reasons or waste time. They exchanged phone numbers. She had a dog. It was a constantly trembling toy terrier, or whatever it was, some kind of chihuahua. Gregory didn't know much about those dogs, but his daughter wanted one, and he couldn't refuse. So, this poor, trembling creature that was afraid of life and constantly sick wouldn't be a problem in a situation like this. She's the same kind of mutt, and she knows a lot about them, so your daughter can call for advice anytime, Mia said. Daughter. There was something odd about the way she said that word. None of the women Gregory had talked to ever referred to Ashley that way. Not even Rachel. Every single one of them, if they tried to show interest in his child, called her by name. Well, what's your name? And they would stress the word in a way that made it clear from the start they had no connection to this child. How's your daughter? Yours, they would usually clarify. But Mia simply and casually said, Let your daughter call if she needs anything. Daughter. And that was it, as if the girl were hers too. The wife, to whom Gregory had told about himself without unnecessary questions like, Are you married, or do you have kids? I'm a widower, he said. My daughter is already grown, she's 17. I'm not married. I was, of course, but we divorced, she said, with a hint of sadness in her voice. Didn't get along? Gregory asked. No, the child died. We couldn't get through it. He couldn't, she said calmly, without breaking down or trying to cry. And you, then, were able to? Gregory asked. Strong woman. On the highway, such direct questions weren't considered tactless. Here, everyone was laid bare before each other, as if exposed down to their very nerves. It was as if everyone who climbed into a car or a cabin had left their clothes and their shells on the side of the road. People who saw each other for the first time and might never see each other again had the right to tell an outright lie, but they had no right to politeness or tactful questions. Otherwise, what was the point of it all? And I couldn't, Mia said. But we perceive reality differently. Gregory didn't ask how long it had been since she lost her child or whether it was a boy or a girl. Why bother? What's the point of reopening old wounds for a woman? Besides, it wouldn't bring her child back. He was there, and now he wasn't. She lived on. He too found the strength to go on after losing his wife. So, in a way, they were alike. Even after he dropped her off, Gregory thought about Mia for a while. For some reason, she wouldn't leave his mind. And then an opportunity came up to call her. That trembling creature in his daughter's arms had gotten sick again. Maybe it had dislocated its paw or broken it while jumping off the couch. What a nightmare. It was 9 p.m. All the clinics in the city were already closed. Without thinking, Gregory dialed Mia's number. It was as if they'd been talking for years. Mia arrived and immediately began administering first aid. And interestingly, this trembling creature didn't even bark. Usually, it tried to scare off any strangers, especially veterinarians. It's 3 in the morning. You can stay in the guest room, Gregory said. And she stayed. Dad, I think you should take a closer look at this woman if even Zuza accepted her, Ashley said in the morning. Who's Zuza? Gregory didn't understand. Well, Dad, Zuza, his daughter said, pointing to her dog. Ah, well, if it's Zuza, then of course, Gregory smiled. Dad, what are you talking about? He added. What? I'm just going to university and leaving. You'll be all alone here, and the house needs a woman. Dad, I'm grown up and I'm not jealous. I know you love Mom, but she's been gone for 7 years, Ashley said. Gregory didn't answer. He simply went to make breakfast. No, Mia didn't stay at their house that day once and for all. But since then, she began to stay more and more often. It was easy and simple with her. She and Ashley became friends and somehow quickly found a common language. One day, Mia told Gregory that her daughter had been just a couple of years younger than Ashley. Now they would have been the same age and could have become friends. He was surprised at how easily and calmly Mia spoke about her daughter, even though she was speaking in the past tense. Gregory was generally amazed at how easily this woman took the blows of fate. She didn't live in the past, like he did, and the future didn't scare her. She simply didn't try to predict it or look into it. Mia lived for the present. She was one of those rare people who knew how to enjoy the here and now. 6 months later, they simply woke up one morning and realized it was time. So, to the registry office? Gregory asked. Why not? Mia answered. They became husband and wife. And there was a second trembling creature in the house. The dogs also quickly found a common language, although both were female. So, the ladies have teamed up, Gregory joked sometimes. For the first time in many years, he felt how good and easy life could be. For the first time in the past 7 years, Gregory was happy and could enjoy that happiness to the fullest. Ashley was preparing to enter university. It seemed she was aiming for foreign languages. In short, she needed a Spanish tutor. Gregory decided to contact an agency, and soon Tiffany started coming to them. She was a strange lady of respectable age, probably about 60, maybe younger. She was plump and clearly wore a wig. Her hair looked like a dead cat she had picked up somewhere and placed on her head. It even smelled like that. However, she provided a lot of recommendations and diplomas. She spoke Spanish excellently and was supposed to prepare Ashley for her entrance exams. Both dogs immediately hated Tiffany and always greeted her with loud barking. They had to be locked in the farthest bedroom on the 2nd floor. And then Ashley suddenly fell ill. She just started fainting out of nowhere. But it turned out, no. Ashley was seriously ill. None of the doctors, even for a lot of money, could give the girl a diagnosis. The more doctors they saw, the more diagnoses and treatment methods appeared, from leukemia to cancer, from diabetes to Ebola fever. And Ashley's condition kept worsening. The fainting spells continued. Weakness and malaise literally kept Ashley from getting out of bed. It was clear that this year there could be no talk of her entering university. How could she, in such a condition? The only thing Ashley asked of her father was not to stop her lessons with the tutor. She said, "Later, after I recover, it will be harder to catch up on the knowledge. Besides, I can study while lying down. One doesn't interfere with the other." But the weakness overwhelmed Ashley so much that she could no longer get out of bed. She was lying down all the time. Gregory did everything he could. He took his daughter abroad, to Germany, to clinics where the world's elite are treated. He even invited doctors for consultations at his own expense. But no clear solution to the problem could be found. The prescribed treatments did not produce the desired effect. If there was some improvement at first, soon the illness would reclaim its ground. Ashley's condition was hard to call an illness. The tests revealed absolutely nothing: no pathologies, no viruses, no infections. It seemed as though life itself had simply decided to leave Ashley. She was fading before their eyes. Nothing pleased Ashley anymore, neither the lessons with the tutor nor her little trembling creature named Zuza. Gregory couldn't find his place, everything was slipping through his hands. Mia sympathized with him and helped with Ashley as much as she could. But no one in the family had expected such grief. As they say, trouble never comes alone. Mia's grandmother, who had practically raised her, died. She urgently went to the funeral. And at Gregory's moving company, there was literally an epidemic of flu among the drivers. No one could go on the routes, and he was at risk of letting down a very large and wealthy client. Family problems are family problems, everyone has them. But reputation also wasn't at the bottom of the list. Gregory, as the head of the company, was responsible not only for himself, but also for his employees. There was no one to replace them. He had to go on the route himself. But how could he leave Ashley alone at home? If she were healthy, this wouldn't be a problem. All these situations would seem like ordinary life matters that could be easily solved. But Mia was away, he was going on the route, and Ashley, an adult, almost of legal age. She would be 18 in a month. Yes, if she were healthy, she would be studying at university. But due to her illness, simple inconveniences turned into huge problems. "Dad, go. I know how you worry about people and how you hate letting anyone down," Ashley told her father. "It's not that I hate. I just have never let anyone down in my life. So I don't know, maybe I should try?" joked Gregory, sitting by his daughter's bed. "Dad, what silly things you're saying." "Go, I'll manage," Ashley replied gently. "I think I'm actually feeling a little better," Ashley said. And indeed, over the past couple of days, it seemed like she was feeling a bit better. She was speaking without breathlessness and seemed to even try to sit up in bed. It's a pity Mia left and didn't see the improvement in Ashley's condition, Gregory thought. Mia was really worried about the girl. She treated her almost like her own daughter. "Go, Dad. Tiffany will come on the weekend. She'll help if needed," Ashley said. "Who? That monster with a dead cat on her head?" Gregory smirked. "Oh, Dad, don't be like that. She's just old. By the way, when we study, she always helps me. And by the way, she always has some pretty tasty tea in her thermos, and she offers me some. It somehow takes away the dryness in my mouth and lets me read without stumbling. That's what a real teacher is like. I'll manage. I'm a big girl. You know, maybe you're right. I'll go. But on one condition, I'll hire a caregiver for you for a week. She'll look after you. And someone has to walk your monster. Dad, just say nanny already, like for a little kid." "Fine, I agree," Ashley replied. Well, where do I find this nanny, caregiver? Gregory muttered, losing hope. Gregory decided to keep it simple. He opened the classifieds online and started calling candidates. But no one agreed. As soon as they found out that they had to take care of not a child, but an adult girl, it somehow seemed strange to everyone. Gregory had to leave tomorrow. Maybe he shouldn't have called nannies? He should have been looking for a caregiver right away. But things weren't going better with caregivers either. They preferred working with elderly people, not girls. What times we live in, Gregory lamented. Another rejection. And again. If he didn't find a caregiver by morning, he would have to cancel the trip. Ashley would be upset, and he couldn't bear that. He just hoped she wouldn't get worse. There was only one ad left. Simple and to the point, caregiver for all occasions. Gregory called, no longer expecting success. A girl answered. She told him the rates, wasn't surprised, and only asked for the address and time. Everything without unnecessary questions. Early in the morning, there was a ring at the gate. Gregory turned on the video call and saw a strange figure. He had been talking to a girl, but now there was some man. What does he want? Another salesman? Gregory thought. We don't need anything, he replied into the intercom and was about to hang up. I'm the caregiver, Gregory heard and almost dropped the phone. He opened the door only because he wanted to see this with his own eyes. Standing before him was a gypsy. A real one. With curly hair, all colorful. He was only missing an earring in his ear. Where's the girl? Gregory asked. She only answers the phone. A man's voice scares her off, the gypsy explained. And you think your appearance won't scare me off? Gregory smirked. Well, sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't, the young man replied calmly. He spoke with some subtle accent, as if he softened every sound in the words. He sounded like the actor who played a gypsy in a famous film. Yes, many gypsies speak like that. Here are the documents, my passport and my diploma from medical school, the young man said, handing over the papers. I don't need your documents, Gregory replied. I can print a dozen of those diplomas on my printer and even draw stamps. I need help. What's your name? Gregory asked, not even looking at the papers. Everyone calls me Edgar, the young man said, smiling. Definitely a gypsy, Gregory thought. He led him to his daughter, introduced him, showed him where everything was, and allowed him to stay in the house. Time passed, and Gregory left. The dog, Zuza, sniffed Edgar but didn't bark. She doesn't bark at good people, Edgar said. Mia, who was a bit older than Ashley, found it amusing to chat with someone her own age. During Ashley's illness, she had gotten out of the habit of socializing. All the friends she had just forgot about her as soon as she got sick. It's often like that. They say you recognize a true friend in times of trouble. About half an hour later, Gregory returned. He asked Edgar to leave the room so he could talk to his daughter. In reality, Gregory's heart wasn't in the right place. He was leaving his only, beloved daughter alone with a gypsy. Even if he had medical education, he was still a gypsy. Gregory decided to install a hidden camera in Ashley's room, but how could he do this without Ashley finding out? She would definitely be against it. Gregory brought a teddy bear, placed it on the windowsill right in front of the bed. Ashley, this bear will protect you, Gregory joked, kissed his daughter on the forehead, and left. Now he could watch his daughter every minute through the app on his smartphone. However, Gregory had to drive the truck, so he only checked on Ashley every hour. Everything seemed to be going well. She was still lying down, sometimes talking to Edgar, who was feeding her lunch. Due to weakness, she couldn't even hold a spoon on her own. Well, good job. Maybe the guy isn't just some fool after all. Maybe he's studying at medical school, Gregory thought. This continued throughout the trip. Gregory lost his vigilance, calmed down, and didn't check the app as often. When almost a week had passed, and there was about a day left to get home, Gregory checked in on his daughter's room again. He slammed on the brakes, and the truck almost swerved off the road and flipped over. A lump rose in Gregory's throat from what he saw. That gypsy, that monster, Edgar, was riding his daughter like a horse. His hands were gripping her throat. Holy Mother! What has he done? Why did I let this monster into my house? Gregory was in shock and despair. To hell with her reputation. And most importantly, I'm almost 1,000 kilometers from home and can't do anything. Gregory's thoughts were in turmoil, his mind couldn't comprehend it. Mia wasn't answering the phone. His daughter wasn't picking up. What if something really happened? Gregory realized that even if the police could get onto his property, there wouldn't be enough footage from the camera to prove what had happened. Gregory slammed the gas pedal and sped home as fast as he could, ignoring the rules. He drove for hours, but eventually got a flat tire. Damn it! He had to change it, and it took him another hour to do so. Gregory pulled out his smartphone and opened the app. What the hell? What's going on over there? He thought. At home, his daughter was happily smiling and twirling around the room, waltzing with Edgar. Gregory stared at this epic scene for a long time, unable to believe his eyes. His daughter was dancing on her own feet. But how? Just a week ago, she couldn't even bring a spoon to her mouth. No doctor could figure out what was wrong with her. But this gypsy had gotten Ashley back on her feet in just 6 days. The information and what he had seen didn't make sense in Gregory's mind. Something wasn't right. What if Edgar had done something to his daughter? Or was it a staged video? After all, he had seen with his own eyes how Edgar had been choking her. The camera was still working, so Gregory decided not to celebrate too soon. He had to rush home, literally fly home, so that's exactly what he did. Dad, can you imagine? Edgar cured me. Ashley shouted, running out of the house to meet her astonished father. Now he was completely convinced that his daughter was healthy and that this wasn't some kind of staged act. Ashley was as real as can be. I don't know how to explain this, Gregory stammered, still in shock, not knowing whether he should admit that he had placed a camera in Ashley's room. His daughter forgave him but insisted that he get rid of the bear. How did you cure her, Gypsy? Gregory asked. Let's set the record straight. Many people in your country think I'm a gypsy and call me by the gypsy name Edgar. I had to accept that. But actually, I'm Indian. If you looked at my documents, everything would be clear. My real name is Edgar Lazar, Edgar explained to Gregory. Well, that's it, everyone calls me Edgar. I came from India, first entered a medical school, and then a medical university. And I just work as a caregiver on the side, Edgar continued. You know, I can't pronounce your real name. Can I just call you Edgar, like everyone else? Gregory asked. You can, but only if you allow me to date your daughter, said the Indian. What about that woman who answered the phone? Gregory asked. She's my sister. We're twins. She helps me with my side job. She didn't go to medical school but decided to stay here, Edgar replied. Well, if she's your sister, then I'll allow it. You can date her, but I have a condition too. You need to tell me what you did with my daughter. I almost went gray when I saw that. It was a special therapeutic massage, and I learned it back in my homeland. It's something our entire family knows how to do. The secret is passed down through generations, Edgar explained. All right, I'll take your word for it, Gregory said. But I don't understand. You figured out the mystery of my daughter's illness. What was wrong with her? That's simple. She was poisoned, and not just once. She had been poisoned almost for a year, and it could only have been done by someone close to her. For the last few days, for some reason, she hadn't been getting the poison, and that's what allowed me to save her. She hadn't received any poison in the last few days. Gregory couldn't stop thinking about it. But who could have done this? Mia? She couldn't have been secretly poisoning Ashley for a long time. That's why none of the doctors could figure out the diagnosis. No one had checked Ashley for poison. They were only looking for viruses, fungi, antibodies, and God knows what else. But the answer was so simple, the poison. But why? What had they done to this sweet, seemingly harmless woman to make her act like this with them? Or maybe, after the death of his daughter, she had done the same thing to others. Gregory couldn't take it anymore and dialed the phone. Mia, hi. I missed you. How's Ashley? I'll be home soon, Gregory said. Mia replied. And you still care? How's Ashley? Aren't you ashamed? How many innocent girls have you ruined? What are you getting revenge for? Because you couldn't protect your own child? Gregory snapped at her. I don't understand what you're talking about. Are you sober? Did you eat some poisonous herb or something? Of course, now you're going to pretend to be an innocent lamb. Edgar saw through you and cured Ashley. So, if you don't want to end up in jail, you'd better not show up. You all must have lost your minds over there. What Edgar? What police? Mia shouted into the phone. Stay where you are, for your own good. Otherwise, I swear, I'll strangle you with my own hands. Gregory said. A few days passed. Tiffany came to visit Ashley again. Sweetheart, don't you want some of my tea? I'm so glad you're better, she said in a barely audible voice, handing Ashley a cup from her thermos. Edgar entered Ashley's room. Oh, sorry, darling, are you busy? He apologized, and right behind him was Zuza, the dog. Edgar, please take the dog away. She won't let us focus, Ashley said, but before she could finish, the small trembling creature jumped onto her bed, then from the bed onto the dresser, and from the dresser directly onto Tiffany's head. With whatever teeth were left, Zuza bit into Tiffany's hair. She probably thought it was a dead cat. Tiffany screamed in a voice that wasn't hers and tried to shake the dog off onto the floor. Along with the dog, her wig fell off. Tiffany's hair was actually a wig. Zuza, satisfied, left the dead wig alone and latched onto Tiffany's stomach. She began to fight off the dog, and the fastening snapped, revealing that the whole outfit was a prosthetic. The noise brought Gregory running. Thank God he was home. Gregory shouted when he saw the woman in his daughter's room, now without the prosthetic belly and wig. He easily recognized her as the tutor who had snuck into their house and gotten close to his daughter. I told you I'd get my revenge. Rachel screeched. Get this mud off me. Ashley screamed. And here's what they were poisoning your daughter with, Edgar said, picking up the thermos that Rachel had obviously dropped. Gregory called the police and turned Rachel in, along with the poisoned tea. He could have taken a mop and pushed his ex-lover out the door for good measure. It was no surprise she didn't like Tiffany. But, oh God, things had turned out so terribly with Mia. Gregory hadn't even given her a chance to explain herself. It seemed now he would have to go after her and beg for forgiveness. But would she forgive him? He opened the door to the house to head out to the garden and saw Mia walking up the path from the gates toward him. A weight lifted off Gregory's heart. Maybe not all was lost. The moment he saw his wife, he dropped to his knees. "Mia, please forgive me. I was so afraid you wouldn't come back. Who am I? I picked the wrong target. I won't just leave those accusations unbacked. Now, get up off your knees and explain to me what's going on here," Mia said. Gregory introduced Mia to Edgar and explained how his ex had infiltrated their house under the guise of a tutor. It was strange, though, she hadn't been able to string two words together in Spanish before. Had she learned the language just to get revenge on Gregory? Mia forgave her husband, and soon Ashley and Edgar got married. Mia and Gregory were getting ready to dote on their future grandchildren. Ashley was expecting twins.